Look at those beautiful tomatoes, and those beautiful tomatoes, and all of those.
Daddy, what is this?
All of these plants were planted by a lazy gardener. So we thought today we would talk to you about the idea of being a lazy gardener. I have a lot going on at this homestead. There's a lot of animals, there's a lot of projects, maintenance, and I like the idea of having a garden. I every year try to do a nice garden, but to be honest, some years we've done really big gardens that have done nothing but fail because we have so much else going on. We just didn't have enough time to dedicate to the garden. So over the last few years, I've kind of perfected the art of being a lazy gardener. And there's a couple different things that you can do that we're going to talk about today that will help you have a garden with produce that's actually edible and nice without hardly any work. So let's talk about how to be a lazy gardener. The first big key that helped us in actually having a successful garden was building a few raised beds. You'll notice here our tomato plants. There's a lot of really nice tomatoes fruiting here, turning red. And all these tomatoes were planted. They were all transplants. So that really helps if you're a lazy gardener. Don't worry about starting the seeds. Don't worry about thinning. Just buy a few organic transplants and pop them into some raised beds. There's a lot of mulch in these raised beds, and that keeps the weeds at bay, and that also holds the water. So these tomato plants that you see here, we have literally never watered except for the day that we planted them. We've never weeded them because they don't need it. And all we did was plant them, and a few weeks later we staked them. That's all the work we've done, and we've yielded lots of beautiful red tomatoes. There's lots more coming. So tip number one, buy transplants. Tip number two, use raised beds, deep mulch, and there you go. You have fruit already working. We also have another type of lazy garden in the back where we got this little guy from. So we're going to take you for a walk in the back and show you the bigger lazy garden and show you what you can expect to get out of a bigger lazy garden and what you should plant in a bigger lazy garden. So let's go for a walk. So my son wants to know if it's bad to be a lazy gardener. The way I see it is a lot of us just wear out with gardening, run out of steam with it. So if you can be a lazy gardener, it's better than not being a gardener at all. What kind of pumpkin you got there, son?
Danny, I don't really know.
Is that a pie pumpkin?
Yeah. I think it's a sugar pumpkin, or those are the goodest ones.
A sugar pumpkin.
I think.
So in this garden back here, which you've seen us work on throughout this season, we've planted really low maintenance, easy vegetables. So lots of squash, lots of pumpkins, some corn. We also planted some onions and some beets. Take a good look. This entire garden, again, I've weeded this maybe one occasion, maybe twice. Everything was planted here from seed, but it's all pretty hardy stuff. We put up the electric chicken fence around it. It was electrified back in the day. It no longer is because it would be grounded out by all these pumpkins, but it still keeps all the animals out. And let's take a little look at what kind of yield we have in here with basically one planting and one
Daddy,
weeding.
So those are squashes there.
Some nice squash, a beautiful sugar pumpkin. That one, what's that?
There's a butternut squash, as you can see. We planted
Beautiful butternut squash.
some zucchini.
Beautiful zucchini.
Oh.
We have a few little teensy watermelons
Daddy, look.
that we're hoping for the best, but
Look.
who knows? Big pumpkin. Look at the size of that pumpkin. Huge.
That's one of my dad's.
Whoa, look at that guy. That one's even bigger. That is a nice sized pumpkin. Go stand next to that. That's a beautiful pumpkin you got there, son.
Yep, it's not.
Whoa, look at the size of that one. And it's not brown yet, but it's big.
Look at that one on the
Look at the size of that thing. That's huge. Stand next to that.
Turn around.
Oh, there's another orange one there. Yeah. Look at how big that thing is. It's like bigger than your head.
Oh, a bunch of the roots.
Got some nice corn coming in here.
Yeah, there's a bunch of bugs.
Nice corn, a lot of bugs on the corn though, so we'll see how that turns out. A few more corns over here. We even have some carrots over here. We had a couple beets that they didn't really do so well. And this little patch here we just kind of let go. So as you can see, this entire garden full of vegetables did really, really good. Why was this one also a lazy garden? Well, again, we have this incredibly thick layer of mulch, keeping the weeds at bay, keeping water in. We've never watered this garden. We've only weeded it on 2 different occasions, and we planted lots of really easy vegetables. Now I know what you're thinking. You can't eat most of that pumpkin, and there's a couple squashes and zucchinis, the corn. There's not a lot of food value to this garden. I'll give you that. There's not a ton of food value to this. For the amount of square footage that this is taking up, there's very little, edible food out of it. But here is my counter as to why you should be a lazy gardener. Because most of the time, if you're not a good gardener or if you don't love your gardening, you'll just not garden at all. And the way I figure it, over these last few years, I've had some big gardens that failed, and I spent tons of time and I was really, really frustrated. So I'd rather have a couple years of lazy gardening where I get really excited about how good we did for So Simple. And while I got all this other stuff going on with all the animals and the livestock and the other projects, at least we have a garden, and every year we're improving the soil. We have nitrogen fixers in there in the form of different beans. So it's improving the soil, it's building a bioweb, and maybe in a year or two, when we're ready to really be good gardeners and not lazy gardeners, we'll attack it with a different tactic, and we'll actually do a good garden.
Okay, and did you know that one friend that gave us a hint that cardboard would stop the weeds from your garden?
Who gave us that hint?
Aaron.
Aaron from Grow Journey. Our buddies at Grow Journey told us to put that cardboard down. That was another good tip. Start with cardboard. So guys, remember these tips. Plant easy vegetables. Buy transplants when you can. Use raised beds, heavy mulch. All these things can help you be a lazy gardener, which means a successful gardener, which means maybe a future really good gardener. Thanks for watching, guys. By the way, I know you're probably wondering about the results from our tag sale that we had this weekend. Well, the good news is we did great. We'll have a video out for you very soon, which will explain all the details on how the farm tag sale did, in case you're wondering about that. But we figured most of you were probably sick and tired of hearing about a tag sale, so we figured we'd do a couple videos. Here's something that did not sell. My killing cone setup. Do you want to buy a killing cone station for chicken butchering? Email me, aust@thisishomesteady. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our daily videos here on Homesteady Daily. And check out the podcast over on iTunes. We have an episode on goats coming out real soon that is a really fun one. So until tomorrow, we'll see you, because this is Homesteady Daily. Kind of botched that one, buddy. Want to tell them to subscribe?
Don't forget to subscribe. Lazy gardening.
Lazy gardening.